Are fans of The Last of Us, the game, triggered by what happened in The Last of Us Episode 3, the TV show? Before I get into that, do me a favor, hit the like button and make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any more videos like this. Let's get started with talking The Last of Us Episode 3. I thought it was another great episode. I mean, they just keep outdoing themselves. This was a highly talked about episode by people who have seen the whole season. This was one of the standout episodes, and you can totally see why. It's been a little bit divisive. There's been a vocal minority that are a little upset with the episode online. Maybe because it details the relationship between Bill and Frank, or maybe just because they deviate a little bit from the game here. In the game, Joel and Ellie meet Bill, and Bill gives them help to get a vehicle and get on their way to go see Tommy. And in the show, they don't meet Bill. You just get a letter from him at the end. You don't see Frank at all in the game. The only way you would know Frank is if you picked up an optional collectible, and then you get a little bit of backstory on Frank, that they were in a relationship, which like totally flew by me the first time I played the game. And only till recently when I played The Last of Us Part 1 did I read that, and I'm like, oh, okay, they were in a relationship, him and Frank. But basically this episode starts off after the last episode where Joel and Ellie they're like 10 miles, 10 miles west of Boston. And, you know, Joel's still, really in pain after what happened with Tess. And Ellie basically just says, you guys had a choice. You wasn't forced on you. You guys needed a battery, so you guys made a deal to bring me here. So please don't blame me for what happened to Tess. And, Joel kind of is like, okay, well, got a good point, really. So then they go off into, Joel has these stashes. There's a stash that he has at like a convenience store. Him and Ellie go to this convenience store. It's really cool. They see, you see a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade machine. Ellie's screwing around with that, and then she goes in like the cellar and she sees an infected person, cuts it open. You see like little like the fungus coming out, and then she ends up killing it. They leave, and then they go. You get a great shot of like this airplane that came down, and it's just a bunch of rubble. And she sees the airplane, and obviously she's never been through it. She was born into the pandemic, so she never got to experience flying an airplane. There's a lot of things that she's never experienced in life, so she's like fascinated by this airplane. And Jill's like, well, come to think of it, yeah, it's kind of cool, whatever. And then so they walk up on this like mass graveyard, like in a ditch of like skeletons and stuff of people that were killed. And it turns out it was Joel tells Ellie that basically a lot of these small towns, Frederick came, they evacuated as many non-infected people as they could, and whatever was left over, they just annihilated and killed them. It was like genocide. And basically, so the more healthy people they killed, there would be the less that people that would eventually turn infected. So that's when it picks up into basically the past, where it shows Bill and Frank's relationship. And it starts off that where they killed all those people, this is actually Bill's town where he lived. And he's like, Bill is like a prepper. He's a doomsday prepper. So it flashes back and he's in his basement, or I don't know, we call it a basement, basically like his bunker. He's got cameras and he's seen all the soldiers going by, and they're rescuing what they can. And he's got everything stacked. He's got guns galore. He's got supplies. He takes off into a Home Depot. He's filling up fuel tanks. He's got his own generator. He's basically, after all, he fences off the whole town. It's really cool. And basically, it shows the day that Frank, he got all these booby traps around around like where he's got his fence for the town. And one day the alarm goes off and he sees someone fall in the hole that he dug for the infected. And sure enough, it's Frank. And he comes out, and it says Bill's not a very open guy. He's very to himself, kind of like, yeah, he's like what you'd call him, a conspiracy theorist, or doomsday prepper, or whatever. He's not very trustworthy. So he gets Frank. They pulls Frank out. Frank's just he's trying to make it to the Boston QZ. So they talk, and then Bill invites him in to eat, and Bill's got chickens. He's got a garden. He's got basically what nobody else out there has really. And so I think Frank has not had a meal like that in forever, probably since before the outbreak. And so he gets there, has a meal with Frank. They go upstairs. They hit it off a little bit. You could tense. There's a little bit of awkward tension between the two. They go and play the piano. Frank sits down there, plays the piano. Bill's like, no, no, no. Bill plays it, and then they kind of like hit it off, and they basically start a relationship with each other. It's just it's such a great episode. Just to go experience what they experience by themselves in the outbreak. Their love story basically. And you flash back a few years later. They're having a fight. Bill and Frank are having a fight. Frank is very open. He wants to where the way they live to be more like it used to be when during civilization. So he tells Frank, he's been talking to people on the radio. He invited some people over. Frank's flipping out. He's unhappy. And sure enough, the two people that he's been talking to are, Tess and Joel. So I think it flashes to, is it maybe 2013? And they're having a lunch with Tess and Joel, and they're working out ways they can help each other. Tess and Frank are hitting it off. Bill and Joel seem like they're very similar in that they don't trust people. They're very guarded. They want to protect their loved ones, and it turns out that the music codes from the first episode, where there's the code for the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s that each mean a different thing, that comes from Frank, who designed some kind of code to communicate with Tess, basically of trouble, everything's good or whatnot, and so basically, they leave. I think it was Joel is telling Bill, you're gonna need me. This little fence isn't gonna hold up much longer. To infected or even raiders. Raiders are gonna come for you. And sure enough, flash forward a little bit. Raiders are coming. They set off some of Bill's traps outside the fence. They're getting set on fire. It's crazy. Frank wakes up and he goes outside. Bill's shooting at him. Then Bill gets shot. Frank drags him in. And, Bill thinks he's going to die. He's telling him to call Joel. And there's a lot of good bonding moments in the episode, and that's one of them right there. It's very different, seems like, from the little bit that you get in the game during the letter that you read. It seems like they did have a relationship, but it seemed like Frank really did not like Bill or grew tired of him. And you really don't get much of that here. It's really mostly only the good stuff that you get in between their relationship. And so we flash forward to basically the present day, 2023, and Frank is sick. He's got cancer, and he decides that today is going to be the last day that he's going to live. And so he asks Bill to, have a wonderful day with him, go to the boutique, get married. They ended up getting married. And Frank wants him to take whatever his medication is that he has, all of it, crush it up. I don't know if it's medication or it's something that kills him. But to crush it up, put it in his wine, drink after dinner. Bill makes him the dinner that they had for the first day that they met, the same wine. And Bill decides it's going to be his last day, too, because he doesn't want to live without Frank. It's a very emotional day. He's really upset, his partner that he's lived with for damn near 20 years almost. He doesn't want to live life without him, so he decides that he's going to take the pills too, and they're just going to die in bed together. And so that's where it deviates a lot from the game. And then we flash to basically, present day when Joel and Ellie come in. Joel and Ellie get to Bill and Frank's gate. It looks like it's deserted. They go inside the house. The food from their last dinner is still on the table, what they ate. So it's like they're all... Joel's really like he's alarmed and on edge kind of, and Ellie finds this note, that basically it is actually a funny note. Bill basically leaves all of his guns and everything to Joel. He leaves his car. He just tells Joel, you're a protector like me. Use all of this stuff to protect the one that you love, Tess. And it's an emotional moment for Joel. He goes outside. and he has a tough time. And I feel like that is where a lot of people are upset that Bill, Joel, and Ellie don't have that moment in the game. But Bill leaving the letter for Joel, it kind of makes up and gives them that moment together for the three that they have in the game. Really, I think it actually maybe gives them a more impactful moment than what the game shows. So they get the letter. Joel gets the car ready. Ellie actually, this episode I feel like is like the first real is where they really start their bond together a little bit. Within the beginning, where she tells him not to blame her, and at the end here, Ellie finds a gun. Joel, they get in the car together. She's all like, she's never been in a car either, so she's all excited. And yeah, this is where they start to bond together. It was an episode about bonding, bonding with Bill and Frank, and the beginning of a bonding relationship between Joel and Ellie. I thought it was a fantastic episode. I don't know why people are, getting upset. It's just crazy. The show just keeps on delivering, man. Seriously, I love it. This is going to be episode 4 is going to have. I gotta imagine it just can't keep going up from here. But who knows? I don't know. Is this the best episode yet? Number 3? It's hard. I think they're all so good. I mean, they give a lot of. The show's done an excellent job of filling in the lore that the game doesn't fill you in on. And even like creating its own lore. But yeah, I think it's another fantastic episode, and I can't wait for episode 4. Thanks everyone for watching. Do me a favor once again, hit that like button and make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any more Talking The Last of Us or any other content that we got on the channel. And I will see you guys later. Thanks.